Okay, it seems that it's working this time. Just quick check. Okay, it seems that it's working this time. Okay, good stuff. So, just going to give it 1 minute. Okay, so let's begin. So hello and welcome to this live stream. As the title says, Git explained in 1 hour. So the time is now 11 minutes past 11 in Germany time, and I'm going to explain how to use Git in 1 hour for you. So I'm guessing that you know what Git is and you're just a little bit unsure of how to use it. So let's move on over to my GitHub page, and I've created a private repository just to use for this, so you can see that it's actually working with GitHub as well. And I've created one. There's nothing in it at the moment, and so we'll now go over to Visual Studio Code, where I now have a project. And like I said, it has nothing in it. So let's start by creating an index.html file. How are we going to do this? Well, basically all we're going to do is have basically a index.html with some data in it, and then we're going to add some CSS to it, and then as we go along we're going to make changes to it, and we're going to kind of pretend to be another person, you know, so we're working parallel on the project, and then we can merge stuff together. So let's get started with writing the boilerplate code that we need in this HTML. So we just want nothing more than a head, body, and we'll just say a div at the moment, and then say hello, or we'll say Git explained in 1 hour. And then here whoops, I don't want that. And we'll just say here, this is a video tutorial about how to use Git in 1 hour. Whoops. Okay, so there's that there. And we'll say layout.css. We're not actually going to show this, but we're going to create our layout.css, and that's going to sit here. So it's nice and saved. And now we're all happy. So we've got our base project. So now essentially our original base project is finished, and we can version this now. So let's come to the terminal, and I've actually got another terminal open so we can see it a little bit better. Kind of figured this would be a bit better. Yes. Okay. So now, if in doubt, always use git status to know what it is that you need to do. Git status will essentially tell you exactly what's going on and what you've got to do. Now, right now, it says we're on branch master. So you can see here, it says at the top, on branch master. It also says no commits yet. Right, it's telling you, you know what branch you're on and you've got no commits. So you should be fully aware. Now, branches. branches are a way of you separating the code into different features, into different tasks, into different environments. So let's keep it as environment first of all. Is that your main live website will always be under the master branch. Now, your development branch is the one where you're just working on it at that one time, is always going to be on a development branch. Now, once you've completed for development and you want to send that code, that product, to the customer for the customer to review, you don't want to like put it straight onto master. So we have a staging branch as well. And this staging branch is, so now we have 3 versions of the website. Active 3 versions. The staging one, the customer should now look at, say, like test.example.com. This is your test area that the customer can have a look at. And they'll look at this and they'll say, I love it, it's fantastic. And then they sign a contract, pay the money and say, yes, I want these changes. And this is when you would then send the staging version to the master. And this is then a release. So you would say this is now release 1.0.0. And then the customer comes back in, say, a month's time and says, right, in the contact page, I want to add a couple more fields into it, and I also want to improve the validation on it. So you go, okay, right, we now need to solely work on the contact page, and it's not a bug, right? It's an enhancement. So it's an extension of that one feature. So we're not making a complete new version, we're just enhancing the contact page now. So now we would go to the development branch, which is a mirror image at this time of the master, because we sent development to staging, staging to master. That means that they all look at the same at the moment. So we go to the development branch and we make a new branch of the contact page. And on this contact page branch, this is where we will make our changes. So what we want to do right now is this website, which we have, is the development version. So we first of all want to create this branch, this development branch, so we can save all of our changes. So we do this by using, let's just clear this. We use this by creating a new branch. Now there's 2 ways you can do it, and I'm going to do it the way that I always do it first of all, and it's checkout-b. Checkout says go from this one branch you're actively on and go to this new branch and create it as well. So you can't say checkout-b if the branch already exists. You then just need to say get checkout and that one branch. So in the beginning we're going to say get checkout and we're going to go -b develop, and this is then now going to go to the develop branch. And if we look at let's go back to here, we can see now in Visual Studio Code right down the bottom left hand corner that it now tells us which branch that we're on. And in Visual Studio as well, if we come under the Git part, we can see that we've got 2 files that have got some changes that need to be done. So the Git plugin within inside of Visual Code is telling you that you've got to do something as well. So let's continue with doing it on the terminal. So now we need to actually add these files to be versions. So Git doesn't work unless you tell it to do something. So it doesn't like work in the background. We now have 2 files that we want to add to be versions. So what we say, if we do this for every individual file at the moment, we say git add and then index.html, and we do this. We now say git status, and you can see on branch develop, no commits yet, And here it's telling us that we've done something. Changes to be committed. Use get rm-caged file to unstage. And it's saying new file index.html. Now this is a key thing. Staging and unstage. When you've got when you add a file, it then is part of the git versioning. And this allows for you to make changes to it. But in order for these changes to be added to a new commit, you've got to stage these changes first of all. And they are unstaged until you stage them. So if it's a new file, you've always got to add it first of all to Git. And once it has been added, Git will then check to see whether the hash, which we'll get into a bit later, is different to the new hash of the file right now. Obviously you have to save the file all the time. So in order for us to stage this file, all we have to do now is add a commit message for this one file. And what we can do here is say get commit -m, and this -m is the message that we want to write. So we're going to say added, and some say it's good practice to use like a capital letters for the thing that you're going to do as the first word in your message. So you always know like add, updates, bug fix, and so on. And we're going to say index.html. And now let's clear this and do git status again. And now we can see on branch develop, untracked files, and it's now going back to again to say that the layout.css is not added yet, and it's not being tracked. So these are keywords now that Git will track files, and until you've told Git to track it, it's an untracked file and it won't do anything with it. So nothing added to commit, but untracked files present, use get add. So Git's always telling you how to do this. Now if we come to Visual Code once again, we can now see that this was clever enough that it knows that one of the changes has been committed, all right, and we still need to commit this layout.css, although it has nothing in it. So let's come back to the terminal. Whoops, let's go back over to Visual Code, sorry. So once again, if we look at Visual Code, it's now telling us that it's only got changes for the layout.css. So in this situation, we can add this, so stage these changes, right? And we can add it to be staging. That's the same as saying get add layout.css. So it's only when you've added a new file. And we can say here is adds, I'm going to say layout.css in this message, and then we press the tick button, and that's going to commit it. So we now have no more changes in that one directory. The only thing that we now need to do is to push it to the remote server. So if we say git status again, we can say on branch develop, nothing to commit, working tree clean. All right, so let's now push it to origin develop. If this works, it is working, right? And we'll go through this in a second. So now this has been pushed, and ultimately this is the main line that is important, that you see that everything was successful and it tells you that it's been updated. So let's go to GitHub now, and I can refresh this, and we can now see that I'll go to GitHub. Okay, we can now see after me refreshing the page that my get explained in 1 hour repository contains now 2 files, and we can then look at these commits. Inside of GitHub, we can now look straight into this one commit and see that we've added 13 lines of code to this one file and also added this file. We can also come to add layout.css and we can see that we added one file and there's no changes to it. Okay, this is all well and good, but so we now decided, right, this is our live version of our website, although it's a completely terrible website. We want to send it to the customer because we want to show the customer now. Now, potentially, this isn't the role of the developer to speak to the customer. This is the role of like the project manager and so on, the product owner inside of the company to speak to the actual customer. And in my opinion, all this work should be done through like GitLab on GitHub and so on, and it shouldn't be done as at the developer level. Yeah, and this is my opinion. But so what we want to do now is create a new branch, and we're going to do it here. And I actually never do it on here. I never do it on. So what we'll do is we'll come back to the terminal because I never do it here, and we're going to say from the develop, we're going to say git checkout staging and go on to this. We're going to now push this to staging. So we kind of made a copy of it. And we refresh this now. And now we see that we've got two branches. This staging branch is the one that we would then show to the customer. All right. Well, we would then obviously have to deploy it on your website and so on, and that's what we would show to the customer. So now the customer comes back and says, I want to have a contacts page. Okay, so good. We've now got the task to create the contact page. So let's go ahead and create the contact.html, and it also has some slight changes too in it. So let's copy the contents and say contact page. This is a page that the customer wants so that their customers can contact them. Done. And now this has two files. It has layout.css and it also has contact.css. And we'll create this contact.css as well with nothing in it. Okay, so now the junior developer was given this task of creating this one page. And the junior developer has now done it. The junior developer was like a little bit sure about how you do it with a terminal. So he's done all the changes and gone, everything's working fine. He's tested it. And we need to make sure what branch we're on. We're on the wrong branch, right, first of all. So we need to go git checkout and develop. And now you can see, if we come here, we've still got two files available, okay? We've still got two files because these are not added yet. So Git has kind of ignored it. And it says there's been no changes. There's been no changes with there's been no changes with the index.html or the layout.css. That's why I can change branches right now. So now the developer is on the junior developer is on the developer branch. In order to work on this contact page, they need to create a contact branch now, so as the lead developer on this project can then have a look at the changes, and once they're happy, they can merge it into the develop branch, so then they can test it on the development phase. And once they're happy that it works on the development phase, they'll move on to go to the staging phase. So the staging phase always means that the development side is essentially 100% finished. So now that we've got these two files, and if we say get branch, it will tell us which branch that we're on with the star at the bottom. So now we want to say get checkout contacts, right? And we're going to say feature. We're going to call it a feature. And now this is switched to the contact feature. So this means now we can add the relevant files that's needed for the contact feature. So let's use a visual code with this. So let's add our contact.html. And let's say add contact.html. And you don't have to do it in single files, but add contact.css and do this. So these are just adding the two files. Now that we have this, we've finished with our task, and so we want to submit it so as our lead developer of this one project can have a look at the code and see whether it's okay to be merged into the develop branch. So let's have a look at get status on branch contact feature, nothing to commit, working tree clean. So the only thing that we've got left to do is to submit this now to the lead developer. All right, and we'll do this by pushing it on that one branch. So we say git push origin contact feature, and this is now pushing it to the remote repository. Okay, so the lead developer, let's go. Lead developer now sees that the contact feature is there. And looks at all of the code and says, well, yeah, this is fantastic. It's all working fine. I'm happy with it. So I'm happy to now merge it into the development branch, right? The develop branch. So they come to GitHub. You can also do this on Git itself. And what they do is they create now a new pull request. In GitLab, it's a merge request. They're exactly the same thing. It's just a different name. And it says here that it's going to merge contact feature into the develop. And so it's always helpful to write a little note inside of this is created the new contact feature and tested the code to make sure that it merges into the develop branch with no conflicts. So now I've written a message to the lead developer so they can see, okay, so but we can kind of write like done or something so they can see, this is actually finished. So let's create this pull request, and you can see that GitHub is checking everything for you and that there's no conflicts. So now you're the lead developer and you've logged into your GitHub and you've seen now, look, there's a pull request. So you don't actually have to even communicate with that one developer. You just see there's a pull request. And let's go in. So we're now the lead developer, right? We're now going to the contact feature and we see, look, David's done it and it's done. He's created the contact feature and tested the code. Okay, now I'll download it. I'll test it on the server, make sure it passes all the criteria for the customer. And I look, there's no conflicts with the development branch at the moment, but I'm going to check it anyway myself and I'm happy. So I write a message and I say, have checked the code, it is all fine. Let's merge it into the development branch. Okay, so he submits the message so someone else can see, look, David's seen it and he's ready to do this. So now we've got different options here with pull requests. We've got create a merge commit, squash and merge, rebase and merge. Now for the time being, let's just say create a merge without going any deep into what squash and merge is. And so we create a merge request, and we're going to merge it. And we'll just say merge in contact feature. So now we merge it. Okay, so we can now come to, this is should all be done, pull request successfully merged and closed. So now we can delete this branch. We're happy that it's gone now. All right. So now let's come to our main repository once again. Look at the development branch, and now we see that the content should be contact.html is there. Let's come to our code now, and we'll check out the development branch and move back over to Visual Studio Code, and we'll look at the files now. You'll notice now, if we remove these, you'll notice now that there's only an index.html and a layout.css, because what we did is we merged it on the remote on the remote repository, but we haven't got those changes, although it was me that created the contact.html or the content.html. But now let's say that a new developer has joined the company and wants to now work on this one project, and they need to know that which branch to work on. So this one, Git repository, isn't up to date yet, so we can say Git status, and it says everything's fine here. So we want some way of being able to pull to see whether there's any changes here. And if we come to this one terminal, it's a little bit better. And from here, what we can do is we can fetch any changes from the remote server. And we use -v to be verbose, so it's gonna say, hey, there are changes, and we can see here that we've got changes, all right, because it's telling us we've got changes. So we can say git pull origin develop, and first of all, it's always good practice to check what branch you're on, and it says I'm on develop, so we're going to git pull origin develop, and we can see here that it's added the content.html and also the contact CSS, and it had 14 bytes in it, and it's 2 files have been changed, 14 insertions, and it created 2 files. So it's told us exactly what's happened. So now we come back to Visual Code, and we see, wait a minute, there's a content.html here. This doesn't sound right. So what we'll do is we'll change that name of that one file and see what Visual Code does. You'll see see that it's deleted the file and that one's been added. Let's come back to the, whoops, sorry. We come to Visual Code now. You can see that, and I've just renamed it to contact.html. You can see that it's now telling you that one file's been deleted and one's untracked. So let's come back to the terminal, clear it, and do git status once again. And let's read what Git is telling us. Git is telling us we're on branch develop. I want to reiterate that Git will always tell you what it wants you to do. You've just got to understand what it's telling you. So changes not staged for commits. And we see that we've got deleted content.html. That was essentially, it has done exactly that. It's copied the contents and put it into the contact.html, which is what I did, all right? And then it needs to delete that from the versioning, from being tracked, and then add the new contact.html. So all we have to do is add the contact.html first of all, and now we run it again, and we see that we've got the new file is here. Well, it's also saying git add rm to update what will be committed. Well, in this situation, we want to remove content. We want to remove content.html from our versioning from being tracked. And now we'll do git status once again, and you can see now that it's coming up and saying that it's renamed content.html to contact.html because the content was exactly the same. It checked the content of both files and it realized one's been deleted and one's been added, so it's renamed it. So it's telling you now it's renamed that one file. So we can now come here and commit with a message and say renamed here. We can now put a little comment saying we've renamed content.html to contact, and this is now done. Okay, now let's have a check what branch we're on again, and we're on develop. This is not a change in a feature. This is essentially just an amendment of the development branch, so we can submit this straight to the development branch. Now, there's could be questions asked whether you should put it on another branch, but in this situation, it's not going to. So we're going to push this to develop. All right, and we'll come back over to GitHub to have a look. And now we see renamed content.html to contact.html. And we see it's all been changed now, which is all good. So we're happy. Okay, so now the customer says, right, we now need to create an amendment, add a new field, something like that, to the contact.html. So we need to go back over to our contact feature that we have locally, and so we're going to check out our contact feature once again, and we'll notice now when we're here the files, right? The files are wrong. So what we need to do is we need to merge the development branch into this to make sure that it's all correct, because we know that it's possibly out of date now. So we say git merge develop because we want to know we're up to date. And we see now that content.html has been changed to contact.html, and one file change, 0 insertions, 0 deletions, and there was no conflicts, anything like that. So we look at our code, we see contact.html, Git is telling us what happened all the time. So let's name equals username, value equals this is a value. Nothing dramatic, and in our CSS we'll say input, and let's just say background is equal to red. It's not relevant to this. Okay, so now we've got to submit our changes, and we'll use Visual Code to do this. And first of all, we'll add our, so we'll say changed, added the input styling so that the background will be red. Okay, it tells you that you've submitted too much stuff, but I just ignore it. Anyway, so we'll commit this one here, and also we'll add the changes here, and we'll say changed, added the username input field, and we'll submit this one's changes. So now let's come back to the terminal. Let's clear this, get status, and you'll see on contact feature, nothing to commit, working tree clean. This is telling you, hey, you're finished with your task and everything has been versioned. The only thing left to do now is to push it once again. So we can say git push origin contact feature. Now before I do this, let's go back over to GitHub, and we'll see that it only has a development and a staging branch. So this is telling, this is nice and clean at the moment, and it means that there's potentially, well, there's not any changes yet, but the development isn't the same as staging, but it's clean. So let's push it again. Now don't forget, the lead developer at this time doesn't actually need to talk with the junior developer, because they can just look at this all the time. But the junior developer comes onto GitHub and goes, well, I'm finished, I need the lead developer to look at my code. So they come to contact feature, and it says that it's able to merge it. So let's create a message for me, and we'll say updated, added the new styling for the contact page, and also added the username field to the contact form that does not exist. Okay, we create the pull request. GitHub does a little bit and looks at it, and we're happy to create a pull request. Okay, sorry, no, we're because I'm still now that's the junior developer is finished. I'm now the lead developer. I come to GitHub, and I come to GitHub and I see, oh look, there's a pull request. Let's go in here, let's have a look, and we see, right, there's a contact feature pull request. I come in here, I see it's been updated, I check all of the code, and I go, let's have a look, and I see all of the CSS is done, everything's fine, and in this situation, I'm happy once again, and it's all fine. So I write a comment, have checked the code, all is fine, will merge into the develop branch. So I'll just let everyone know what it is I'm going to do. Because this way I don't actually need to talk to anyone. I'm doing it through GitHub, and I'm documenting it for future people to see what actually happened. So now I'm going to merge the pull request, and I'm going to merge it into develop branch. And once we're done, we're going to clean the branch. The whole point of doing it this way in the remote is that once something's finished, remove that one branch. Okay, keep it as clean as possible. Have a develop and a staging branch whilst you're in development, and once you do have a version and the customer's happy and it does go live, then have a master version. And the staging version in this situation can also be deleted because there's nothing to be staged anymore because it's on the master. Yeah, so you can just delete the staging branch. It avoids any confusion in the future. Okay, so let's come back to the terminal first of all, and let's see git status. I'm on the contact feature. Well, we want to check the development back out again, and we want to see whether there's any changes that's been made, and we see, oh yes, there has been changes being made. So git pull origin develop to update my development branch, and we look at this and see, oh, okay, this contact.css had 3 small changes, and index.html had also some changes, and 2 files changes, 6 insertions. So we know that there's some changes being done which we need to review. So we come back here, and now we can see that these files were changed. Okay, so now the developer has said, well, I'm finished with the contact feature, and I don't need it anymore on my device, right? So, but I still want to have the main development branches. So how do we now do a little bit of housekeeping on our local repository? So we just want to have the development branch, and that's it. So what we want to do is we want to say get branch, and we want to delete the branch. Now if we do --help, you'll see here that we want delete branch even if not merged. All right, delete fully merged branch. So we know in this situation everything's fine because we did it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say get branch. So get branch -big D, and what we want to do is we want to say contact feature and remove it. And now you see deleted branch contact feature. And we do get branch, and it will list all of the branches and have a star to tell us which one that we're actually on. Now in this situation, we also want to delete staging. And remember that we're doing this locally, so we're just cleaning up our device. And without delete staging, and we'll look at it once again. Now this doesn't mean to say that it's deleted on the remote side. That was already deleted already because the lead developer did cleanup. Okay, so now we've submitted this this code to the customer once again. Well, we want to submit this code to the customer. So we come to the development branch, and we want to create a new pull request, and it's going to be the develop into the base. All right, so contact feature. All right, added the contact feature to the website. We can come down the bottom and we can see everything that's done. All right, so if we look from the bottom here, changed, added the username input field. Well, first of all, we added a contact.html, added the CSS, merged that in, renamed it, added the input styling with background, added the username, and so on. So now we see that the files have been added, and so we can create this pull request for the customer to see. Okay, we let GitHub check everything that's going, and we see, right, and we write a message, have checked that all of the code is working, we'll merge into the staging branch for the customer to review. Write a commit message, and now we're going to merge it into the develop. Into the staging, I'm sorry. Okay, now we'll come back to here, and we see that if we come to staging, we can now see that staging has contact.html and CSS, etc., etc. So this is now time for the project leader and so on to communicate with the customer, to show the customer, get the customer to sign for everything, pay for everything that you've done, And so they're happy, right? They're now happy that this is working, and they want to go live with their website, although it's a complete terrible website, right? But they've said, yes, we want to go live now, and we're happy. So we come back to the terminal, and now we're the lead developer, and we see that we're on development branch. We want to check out staging. So get origin. Actually, we need to fetch the remote changes first of all, and we see that there has been some changes made. And get checkout. In this situation, we don't need -b because the staging branch exists already. And now we can do get status, and it says on branch staging, your branch is up to date with origin staging, so you know that you're up to date with the most up to date version in the remote repository. Let's come back to Visual Studio, and we see that everything is there, the input field is there, etc., etc. So what we want to do now is we want to say get checkout -b master. So we're going to create a master branch, and we want to say get status once again. Your branch is based upon origin, but our upstream is gone. Yeah. So we want to push this now to GitHub. Okay, now this has been pushed. Branches. Yeah. Okay, now this has been pushed and it's on master. This is a version, right? This is a release, and we want to know that we can always fall back to this in the event that there's a problem. So what can we do now? Well, we can create a tag, right? So we'll version our website now with 1.0.1, and we're going to push this. Push tags. If we update this, you'll now see that we've got a release, okay? And if we come to tags, we should be able to create a release from this. Right, release title is let's say summer websites 2019, and this website was our first one and is terrible, but it's online and is there. Okay, so now we've written our release for the future, and we'll publish this. And publishing here is a way that if we have continuous deployment, it can be deployed, and there can be a trigger but this is another thing totally. But this is the process now, is that the master branch, although it is effectively your website, it isn't the live website. This is what is the live website, the actual release, the tag. And when a tag gets created, that's when you create a new website. All right. So now I hope that this has been informative to you, and you know, it just shows you that what Git is and how you can use it. So now let's just speak about some of the fine-tuning things. If you're ever concerned about how to use Git, the most important thing to do is always do git status. If in doubt, write git status and have a look. never just push anything just because. What you want to be able to do, if you're unsure about whether you're submitting the right code to the right branch or something like that, then always just take whatever you've got, do git checkout -b, and then do like the so at the moment we're on the master. Git checkout -b and write like temp or something, and a number. So I don't know. Just write temp and a number, so you know that this is there. And now you can do whatever, and you can push this, and someone else can help you now. And if it says you haven't committed stuff and added stuff, from here you can add, you commit, you can push, and someone else can then make your changes. So if in this situation you're unsure, right, and oh look, we changed the index, and we see now that we added this, and it's the, I don't know, the password. This is now you've added this password on this one index.html. And remember, we're on a different branch right now. You're a junior developer and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. So we add it, and the developer's like, git adds a added index.html. Don't know. And like panicking, because this is what junior developers do. They just panic with Git and Git push origin, and they're just pushing it like crazy. We're not checking anything, just pushing. I've got to go home, it's Friday, push. This is not what you do. So now you come to GitHub and you see, what is this? Git master temp 2019. What are you doing? And you're screaming and shouting at the developer. Why are you submitting changes on master-temp-2019 from the what are you doing? And you look at this and you go, and you look at it and go, what has he done? So we'll look at the changes, the commits. And we look at the commits, and it's like added index.html. And you look like, what? It's a password. What is this person doing? But you think, well, actually, I kind of need this, but all of the other changes were catastrophic. So the only change that we were happy with was this one change here, but all of the other idiotic changes that the person's made, we can just basically throw away. But we only want to have this one index.html. So you have to work with me here. This idiot changed like another 50 files, but the only one small thing is that we want these 5 lines from index.html. So let's now, we're our lead developer, and we get checkout master. That one file has now changed. All right. Now we only want to take that index.html from that crappy branch that the guy or girl or the person did. Now we can do this really easily, and if I do it here, this is then git checkout, and what we want to do is we want to take a specific file from a specific branch, and we can tell git let's just copy this branch name. Okay, so we're saying git checkout this branch, but -- means go into that and only give me a specific something. And in this situation, git checkout this index.html file. And we press enter. And that's exactly what it will do. It will go to that file, go to that branch, and pull me just this one file. And now you come here and you can see that that password field has been then added. This means that we can come now, and this would be terrible practice if we submitted this on master. Terrible practice. So now we have this one change, and we can see changes to be committed, and we're on branch master. Alarm bells should be ringing now. So what we want to do is we want to check out the password field change. We'll call it password field change. And now we have this. And now we're on this one branch. All right. So let's now added, and we'll say here added password field to the form that does not exist. Now we committed this, look at status, and we're all fine once again. So let's push this to the field that we want, to that branch that we want, sorry. And come back to here, and we can see that it's been done. Compare, create pull request. We'll do this relatively quickly. And added the password field to the form. Create the pull request. All is fine. We'll submit to develop. Commits. Merge it. Okay, so let's come now to the development branch. And now we'll come here and we'll merge this locally. And everything's fine, right? Because we knew it's fine. We can also come here and say fetch -v, and to pull it. And now if we pull origin develop, it's now updated with the correct hash and so on. And everything's fine. So we're all okay, and we can come here and we can toss this branch, and we can toss this branch as well. So it's gone. All right. And now we're happy even further. So that showed you how you can take just a single file from a branch. Now, the final silver bullet, in my opinion, of Git is that if you've ever done something like resetting, you're resetting the code and so on, and you're like, oh no, what have I done? This is the magic of Git. Git reflog. Now, if you've done git add and add a file, if you've then done git commit and committed those changes, right? That code is safe. Now, it doesn't matter if you make a crazy change and you do something, this, that, and the other. Git has saved everything, and so we can come at any one point that we want to come, and we can then go. Just here we can see everything that we've done, but as long as, like I said, if in doubt, commit, right? And it'll all be fine, because what you can always do in your local changes is come back to a specific spot that you were by looking at git reflog. Now, git log also kind of does it, but git reflog gives you just the hardcore details that you need. You can say git log one line, and that will give you essentially what git reflog is doing. But if in doubt, I just want to reiterate this: if in doubt, git commits, right? Commit it. Just don't push it on that one branch. If you're going to push it and you're still unsure, then check out another branch and push that, and then let someone else look at what it is you're doing. Okay, it's like 40 more seconds left of the hour, and I believe that I've explained Git from start to finish. There's still a lot more individual small areas that could then branch out for another hour, an hour, an hour. But in if you didn't know how Git works and you didn't know why you would use Git in the beginning, I think this was enough to give you a short, brief introduction. This is not a detailed introduction, it's a short, brief, real-time way of how developers would work on a Git flow working environment. Anyway, my name's David Thorne, and I hope this has been helpful to you. And yeah, like, subscribe, tap that bell to be notified of new videos and new content that I create. I thank you very much for supporting my channel, and yeah, have a nice evening, and I'll see you in the next video. Somehow I've got to turn this on.